Have you heard about this idea of like mirror life?
Mirror
A
life.
pretty wild concept.
Yeah.
Scientists are actually working on creating organisms in the lab
Right.
with molecules that are like totally flipped.
Flip.
Like a mirror image of like the ones found in nature.
It all comes down to this idea of chirality,
Chirality.
which basically means that molecules can have like the same chemical formula, the same atoms, but they're arranged differently in three-dimensional space.
Okay.
It's kind of like if you look at your left and right hand, they're
Yeah.
mirror images of each other,
Right.
but you can't perfectly superimpose them on top of each other.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So like a mirror version of a cell could theoretically function just like a regular cell,
Yeah, in theory,
but be completely reversed.
completely reversed.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's mind-boggling.
it is.
If we could somehow create a mirror version of ourselves, would we even recognize each other?
That's a good
I
question.
don't know how.
But I think we should maybe bring it back down to earth a little bit
Okay.
and talk about some of the potential risks,
Oh,
particularly when we start thinking about bacteria.
bacteria.
Yeah. How would our immune systems interact with these mirror organisms?
Mm-hmm.
That's a key question.
Why would our bodies struggle with something that's essentially just like a flipped version of what we already encounter?
Well, think of it like a lock and key.
Lock and key.
Our immune system has all these amazing antimicrobial enzymes
Right.
and cells that target very specific molecules on bacteria.
Uh-huh.
But if those molecules are suddenly reversed,
Yeah.
the key doesn't fit the lock anymore.
Oh.
Our defenses are essentially ineffective.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So it's like our immune system is coded to fight off certain threats,
Right.
and a mirror bacterium would be like a brand new type of code that completely bypasses our security system.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay, I'm officially nervous now.
Yeah.
What exactly would happen?
Mm-hmm.
Would they be producing some kind of super toxin or something?
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
It's not about them being inherently toxic.
Oh.
It's really more about our body's reaction to them. So we might experience something like a massive inflammatory response,
Oh,
similar to sepsis,
sepsis.
which can be life-threatening.
Right.
Yeah. So it's our immune system basically overreacting,
Good.
trying to fight something that it doesn't understand.
So no shaking hands with our mirror selves then. Got it.
Probably a good idea.
But what about the rest of the natural world?
Hmm.
Could mirror bacteria, like, run wild
Run wild.
and, like, wreak havoc on ecosystems?
That's a very legitimate concern.
Yeah.
You know, imagine a buffet
Okay.
where only you have the right utensils to eat certain dishes. Mirror bacteria could have like a whole ecological buffet to themselves.
What?
Because the predators and the parasites might not recognize them as food sources. They could potentially outcompete existing bacteria.
Oh.
Yeah, throw everything off balance.
So it's like giving them a cheat code. In the game of survival.
That's a good analogy.
No natural predators
Right,
to keep their population in check.
right,
It's terrifying.
yeah.
But couldn't we just create mirror versions of those viruses that attack bacteria?
Like phages.
Phages? Yeah, wouldn't that level the playing field?
Well, if we kind of zoom out a little bit,
Okay.
creating mirror phages
Mirror phages.
might actually be easier than creating whole mirror bacteria.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we could essentially copy the genetic code of existing phages
Uh-huh.
and then just flip it.
So, like fight fire with fire,
Fight fire with fire.
but make it mirror fire.
Mirror fire.
I love that.
Yeah.
But honestly, even if we could control them, Is it worth the risk?
Is it worth the risk?
Should we even be messing with this kind of stuff?
Yeah, that's a big question.
Right.
It raises all sorts of ethical concerns.
Yeah.
You know, are the potential scientific advancements worth the potential ecological and biological risks?
Huge question.
And what safeguards would we need to put in place to ensure the safety of, humanity and our planet?
It's really making me think.
Yeah.
What if somewhere out there in the vast universe, mirror life already exists?
That's a possibility.
Would it be our total opposite? Or would we find some surprising similarities?
It really makes you question everything we think we know about life.
Yeah.
And whether the chirality we see on Earth is, a universal constant or just a random quirk of our corner of the cosmos.
Okay, lots to ponder.
Well, huts to ponder.
We'll pick up on that mind-bending thought next time.
We will. Yeah, it really does make you kind of question everything we think we know about life.
Yeah.
But maybe let's circle back to those potential dangers for just a moment. We talked about the risk of sepsis.
Yeah.
It might be worth unpacking that a little bit further.
Yeah, sepsis is one of those words that just, sounds scary.
Right.
But I'm not sure I fully understand, what makes it so dangerous. Especially in this whole context of mirror life.
Well, sepsis is essentially our body's, extreme and often life-threatening response to infection. It's not the infection itself that's deadly. It's the overwhelming inflammation that it triggers.
So just to be clear, it's not that the mere bacteria would themselves be producing, toxins or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's more about how our own bodies would react to them.
Exactly. It's our own immune system going haywire.
Okay.
Imagine your immune system, trying to fight a shatter. It can't grasp it. It can't eliminate it.
Right.
And this constant futile battle leads to this widespread inflammation that damages organs and ultimately shuts down vital systems.
That's terrifying.
It is.
It almost sounds like an allergic reaction, but on a whole body level.
That's a good way to think about it.
Yeah.
And what's really scary is that even a seemingly harmless bacterium, if it were mirrored, could trigger this response in our bodies.
So even if a mirror bacterium wasn't dangerous in its natural form,
Right.
the way our bodies would react to it could make it lethal to us.
Potentially.
That's unsettling, to say the least.
Yeah, and to make matters even worse,
Oh no.
our current medical arsenal might be completely ineffective against these mirror infections.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Don't we have antibiotics?
We do.
Why wouldn't those work?
Well, antibiotics are designed to target very specific mechanisms in bacteria.
Right.
And they often rely on those lock and key interactions we talked about.
Right.
With mirrored molecules, the keys simply wouldn't fit the locks anymore.
Oh.
So many antibiotics would be rendered useless.
Okay, so our main weapons are out.
Yeah.
But aren't there parts of our immune system that are less specific?
Uh-huh.
More like a blunt force approach to fighting invaders?
There are.
Wouldn't those still work?
They might be hampered as well. For example, some of our immune cells engulf and destroy bacteria through a process called phagocytosis.
Right.
But even this process can be influenced by specific molecular interactions. And if those are disrupted by mirror image molecules, the effectiveness of phagocytosis could be reduced.
So even our backup defenses might be compromised.
Potentially, yeah.
That's like having your armor suddenly become transparent.
Right.
You're totally exposed
Exposed.
and vulnerable.
Vulnerable, exactly.
And like the potential consequences here extend far beyond just our own species.
Right.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about like the ecological risks.
Yeah.
Can you maybe break that down for me a little bit?
Sure.
Why exactly would mirror bacteria be so disruptive to ecosystems?
Well, imagine introducing a species that's essentially invisible to predators.
Yeah.
They would have a significant advantage
Right.
in the competition for resources.
It's like a cheat code for survival.
Right.
No natural checks and balances to keep your population in check. That's terrifying.
Yeah.
Mirror bacteria could, like, potentially outcompete native bacteria, disrupt food webs,
Yes.
alter entire ecosystems.
Yes, potentially.
And the more complex the ecosystem,
Mm-hmm.
the more unpredictable
Yes.
and potentially catastrophic the consequences.
Exactly.
So a mirrobacterium that might seem harmless in a lab setting
Right.
could become like a real problem
A real problem.
once it's out in the world.
Out in the world, exactly.
What about the oceans?
My oceans.
Aren't they like vast
Yeah, but
and constantly changing?
constantly changing.
Wouldn't they be more resilient to these kinds of disruptions?
Well, the oceans are incredibly vast,
Yeah,
but they're not immune to ecological imbalances.
right.
And consider this.
Okay.
A single drop of seawater contains millions of bacteria.
Millions in a single drop.
Millions.
That's mind-blowing.
It is.
Wow.
And among those are bacteria called phytoplankton,
Phytoplankton.
which form the base of the entire marine food web.
Okay.
So if mirror bacteria were to outcompete these essential organisms, it could trigger a chain reaction with devastating consequences for marine life.
It's scary to think that something so small, so seemingly insignificant,
Right.
could have such a profound impact on the entire planet.
It really highlights the interconnectedness of life,
Yeah.
the power of evolution.
Evolution.
Even though mirror bacteria would start with limited genetic diversity,
Okay.
they could adapt and evolve rapidly,
Wow.
especially in diverse environments like the oceans.
Wouldn't evolution also work in our favor? Couldn't our immune systems, like, adapt to fight off mirror bacteria over time?
Well, evolution is a slow process,
Right.
often taking generations to unfold.
Uh-huh.
And in the case of mirror bacteria, our immune systems would be starting from scratch,
Right.
with no prior exposure,
Right.
no built-in mechanisms for defense.
So it's a race against time.
A race against
The
time.
bacteria's ability to adapt and spread
Right.
versus our immune system's ability to catch up.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And it's a race we might not be able to win.
Okay, this is all getting a bit overwhelming.
I understand.
I need a moment to process.
Yeah.
But before we go any further,
Okay.
I have to ask,
Uh-huh.
are there any, like, long-term risks we haven't even considered yet?
There are the potential ripple effects of introducing mirror life are vast and largely unknown. One area of concern is nutrient cycling.
Nutrient cycling?
Yeah. What's that?
So
So nutrient cycling is the process by which essential elements like carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus are circulated through ecosystems.
Okay.
Bacteria play a crucial role in this process, breaking down organic matter and releasing nutrients back into the environment.
It's like nature's recycling system.
Exactly, nature's recycling system. And if mirror bacteria were to disrupt this delicate balance,
Yeah.
it could have cascading effects on plant growth, soil fertility,
Wow.
even the global carbon cycle.
Wait, the carbon cycle?
Yeah.
That sounds pretty serious.
The carbon cycle is what regulates Earth's climate.
Oh,
Disrupting it could exacerbate climate change
wow.
and have unpredictable consequences for weather patterns and ecosystems worldwide.
Wow, this is really starting to feel like the butterfly effect
The butterfly effect.
on a global scale.
On a global scale.
One tiny change
One tiny change.
could snowball into something truly catastrophic.
It really underscores the importance of careful consideration and comprehensive risk assessment
Right.
before we even think about creating mirror life.
Yeah.
Let's be realistic.
Okay.
Some scientists are going to be tempted to push those boundaries.
They are.
So what kind of safeguards could we put in place
Yeah, what could we do?
to minimize the risks if research into mirror life continues?
That's the crucial question, right?
It is. Well, first and foremost,
Okay.
we need robust biocontainment measures.
Okay.
Think of it like developing a vaccine.
Uh-huh.
You work with the dangerous pathogen in a highly controlled environment
Right.
to prevent accidental release.
So like those labs you see in movies.
Yeah,
Where everyone's wearing hazmat suits.
exactly. These labs have multiple layers of security air filtration systems,
Wow.
strict protocols to prevent anything from escaping.
Hmm.
And when working with mirror life,
Yeah.
we need even more stringent measures.
What else?
We also need clear international agreed upon regulations
Okay.
governing research into mirror life.
Okay.
Think of it like the rules surrounding nuclear technology.
No.
There are strict guidelines for handling, transporting, and disposing of these materials to prevent misuse.
Right.
Similar regulations would be crucial for mirror life research.
Makes sense. And what about countermeasures?
Countermeasure.
We talked about the idea of mirror phages earlier.
Yeah.
But are there other ways to like potentially control or contain mirror bacteria if something were to go wrong?
That's where it gets tricky because mirror bacteria are so fundamentally different.
Right.
Many of our standard tools for controlling bacterial outbreaks might be ineffective.
But knowing that, couldn't we start developing new tools now?
We could.
Just in case.
It's a proactive approach, and it would be wise to invest in research focused on mirror-specific countermeasures. But even with all these precautions,
Yeah.
it's important to consider the ethical implications as well.
That's a good point. We've talked a lot about like the potential dangers.
We have.
But what about the potential benefits of mirror life?
That's a valid point. While the risks are significant, the potential scientific and technological advancements can't be ignored.
What kind of benefits are we talking about? Give me some hope here.
Okay, well, imagine mirror image drugs.
Mirror image drugs.
Many drugs are chiral, meaning they have a specific handedness,
Uh-huh.
but sometimes the mirror image of a drug can be more effective
Really?
or have fewer side effects.
So we could potentially create better medicines.
Potentially.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Mirror life could also revolutionize material science.
Material science. Imagine materials with unique properties like mirror image polymers that are stronger or more flexible than anything we have today.
Okay, that does sound pretty amazing.
It does.
What about using mirror bacteria for bioremediation?
Bioremediation.
Could they clean up pollutants? Or break down toxic waste that natural bacteria can't handle?
That's another intriguing possibility. Mirror bacteria might be able to metabolize certain pollutants that natural bacteria can't,
Wow.
offering a new approach to environmental cleanup.
So while the risks are real,
They
the
are.
potential rewards could be groundbreaking.
Groundbreaking.
It's a double-edged sword, to be sure.
It is a double-edged sword.
And it's a sword we need to wield with extreme caution.
Extreme caution.
I agree. It's a decision we need to make with our eyes wide open.
Eyes wide open.
Fully aware of both the potential wonders and the potential perils.
Well said. It's a balancing act, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to remember that knowledge itself is not inherently good or bad.
Right.
It's how we choose to use it that determines its impact. Yeah.
And in the case of mirror life, that choice carries a heavy responsibility.
A responsibility we can't take lightly.
We can't.
Okay, this conversation has really gotten me thinking.
It's a thought-provoking topic.
Mirror life is such a strange and fascinating concept.
It is.
And the potential consequences are huge.
Huge.
It's almost like looking into a distorted reflection of our own world and seeing both the beauty and the danger that lies within.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah.
And perhaps by exploring this concept of mirror life, by grappling with its complexities and potential consequences, we might come to a deeper understanding of ourselves and our place in the cosmos.
Maybe. Or maybe we'll discover that some mysteries are best left undisturbed. That the pursuit of knowledge, while noble, sometimes comes at a price too high to pay.
Heavy stuff, but definitely worth thinking about.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it really pushes us to kind of confront some pretty profound questions about the nature of life.
And, our responsibility as scientists.
Okay, I'm still trying to wrap my head around all this.
Right.
It's wild to think that these mirror organisms would be built from like the same basic elements as us.
Absolutely. It's not like we're talking about some alien life form made of exotic matter.
Right.
The molecules themselves would still be familiar.
Okay.
Your carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen. It's just their arrangement, their chirality that's reversed.
That's what makes it so fascinating.
Fascinating.
And unsettling.
Unsettling.
At the same time.
Yeah.
It's so similar to us, yet so different. It's like looking in a mirror and seeing a stranger staring back at you.
That's a powerful analogy.
Yeah.
It really speaks to that kind of inherent duality of mirror life. That simultaneous sense of familiarity and unfamiliarity. The potential for both harmony and conflict.
Some people might argue that nature is constantly evolving.
Right.
Like new organisms emerge all the time.
They do.
So what's the big deal about introducing a few mirror bacteria? Won't nature just adapt?
Well, while it's true that nature is dynamic and always in flux, the introduction of mirror life represents a fundamentally different kind of change.
Okay.
It's not just a new species.
Right.
It's a whole new type of biology.
Wow.
One that operates on a completely different set of rules.
So it's not just about, like, the rate of change.
No.
It's about the nature of the change itself.
It's about the nature of the change itself.
Right.
The speed at which we could introduce mirror life into the environment far outpaces the speed at which natural selection can operate.
Yeah.
It's like suddenly changing the rules of a game mid-play. The players have no time to adjust their strategies, and the outcome becomes unpredictable and potentially chaotic.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But even with all these unknowns, there's still that allure of the unknown, that sense of wonder about what mirror life could reveal about the universe and our place in it.
Yeah.
What if somewhere out there there's a planet teeming with mirror organisms.
It's a tantalizing thought.
It is.
The possibility that we're not alone in the universe,
Right?
but that there could be other forms of life,
Yeah.
perhaps even intelligent life,
Wow.
that evolved under completely different biological principles.
It really blows my mind to think about.
It's mind-boggling.
Would that mean that we'd be forever separated? Unable to interact?
Right.
Or even communicate?
Mm.
Or could there be like some level of understanding? Some common ground based on the shared elements of our existence?
Those are questions that go to the very heart of what it means to be alive.
Wow.
What it means to be conscious. And what it means to exist in a universe full of infinite possibilities.
It's incredible to think that by exploring this concept of mirror life, by really grappling with its complexities and potential consequences, we might actually come to a deeper understanding of ourselves and our place in the cosmos.
Perhaps. Or maybe we'll discover that some mysteries are best left undisturbed. That the pursuit of knowledge, while noble, sometimes comes at a price too high to pay.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's a delicate balance.
It is.
And we need to proceed with caution and a deep sense of responsibility.
Absolutely well said. This has been a fascinating discussion.
It has.
And I hope it's given our listeners plenty to think about.
Absolutely. And speaking of reflections.
Oh, yeah.
If you're looking for a song to keep this episode's theme swirling in your head, might we suggest Mirror in the Bathroom by the English Beat?
Excellent choice.
Catchy tune and some food for thought.
Yes.
A perfect combination.
Until next time.